That's an easy one. It was the first acquisition we made because we made the leap from a financial buyer to a strategic buyer. And by being a strategic buyer, we could start to focus on companies where we had a strategic advantage. We could think about the consolidation issues that I was talking about before. We had financial wherewithal to use that we didn't have previously, and we had credibility in the marketplace. So that was that's an easy question.
When I was in publishing, I worked for an operating company that's now part of Thomson Reuters. And again, it was our first acquisition. We bought a small publishing company called Practitioners Publishing Company down in Fort Worth. And it was an earn-out situation. They were a company that was doing about $6 or $7 million a year, $1.5 million on the bottom line. We valued the talent and what they could introduce us into markets. We made the acquisition, and within 3 years, that company was doing $30 million a year in revenue, almost $10 million in EBITDA, and we looked great, and they were happy. So that was probably the best acquisition that I've ever done.
It's a $175 million purchase of a medical device company, an orthopedic company in Connecticut. And the reason it was successful is a lot of things that we talked about here. I was lucky enough to be on the front end and the back end. So we just finished our strategic plan with the board. Part of the strategy that came out of that strategic planning process was acquiring a company in the space that we felt we were negligent in, or at least didn't have a good presence in. We identified the candidate. We went through all of the goals as we went here, led the due diligence process at the company. My group did all the evaluations, got a lot of exposure to the board and to the people above the board at the corporate headquarters. We executed with a very collaborative team. And at the end of the day, both the company that was the acquirer, our company, as well as the seller, was very happy with the results. It was just a very good and a very collaborative team with both internal and external advisors.
So worked on the sale of a public company that was purchased through, there was a big process on auction. At the end of the day, a prominent private equity consortium purchased them, paid a tremendous premium over the then prevailing market price, and beat any other strategic. And in the press, the financial press said, overpaid for this acquisition. And in the 3 or 4 years that have followed, the entire purchase price has now been returned to the purchaser through dividends, and the company is probably worth even more than it was when they paid it in the initial. So it was a win for the stockholders of the target company, and it was a win for the private equity firm.
I would say the operative word is you need a lot of luck. Luck really helps. But the best acquisition would be, again, my client, the serial acquirer. It was their second acquisition. As you may recall, when they did the first deal, it was an $8 million deal. And the new CEO coming on board basically said, we need to do this deal, the second deal, because when I lose a $500,000 client, it hurts. And when you're a small company, you are very, very vulnerable. So he really felt that he needed some critical mass size. So what the second acquisition was able to do was essentially double the size of the business to around $25, $30 million. So he said, Ben, at that point in time, I could sustain a $500,000 loss client because the average size client is like $250,000 or $100,000. So in his mind, what he's really, one of the key things in the back of his mind is really having some scale so you can weather some downturns if certain clients in your customer base obviously has a bad year or has a bad product that essentially not selling anymore. So that was a great acquisition in addition to getting them bulk, because that business essentially brought on a new product line. Their top salesperson became the head of sales. So in addition to being a great outcome financially, they also was able to bring in a lot of great management talent in the process.
I think the best acquisition that I've been involved with is the first one that I ever did, which was after selling my software company, we became a division of a publicly traded company and had access to acquisition capital and really didn't know what to do with it necessarily right off the bat. But we stumbled upon an opportunity, Derek, to your point earlier about meeting folks at trade shows. It was another small software company in our industry that had very complementary products. And it was a small company. I think they had 8 people at the time. And they had, as I said, complementary products. We were actually able to take one of their products and merge it into our own seamlessly. So high degree of product or technology synergy. And they also had an installed base of 200 customers who were at the very top of our list of target customers. I mean, they brought in for some of our other products, and they had a great reputation. It was also an affordable acquisition. But I'd say the best thing about it was that these guys were just great, fun guys, and we really had the opportunity to work closely with them and enjoyed working with them, didn't lose a single person in the process, and had an incredible amount of fun. And I think that's not to be overlooked when you get married with an acquisition. My mother-in-law has a saying, life is too short to dance with ugly men, and I like that philosophy a little bit in business as well.